Donald Trump's decline is becoming impossible to ignore. Even if the mainstream media doesn't highlight it, he's making it obvious for the world to see. That was clear in a recent Oval Office meeting with the president of South Korea, where he struggled to speak, slurred his words, and went on a bizarre rant about women. It's one of the clearest signs yet of cognitive decline. Before we dive into all of that, if you're enjoying the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps support our work. During the meeting, Trump didn't just focus on our ally in South Korea. He also made striking comments about Vladimir Putin that you'll want to hear.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, how soon did he say that he wanted to sit down with Ukrainian President Zelensky? Russia, as of now, says there's no meeting on the books and no agenda is set.
Well, that's going to be up to them. It takes two to tango. I always say it. And they should meet, I think, before I have a meeting and probably close the deal. But I think it's appropriate they meet. They do not exactly get along well, as you can understand. And I'm sure it's a meeting that perhaps he didn't like. But he wasn't happy about coming to the United States either. That was a big concession, and I appreciate the fact that he did. You know, I've always had a very good relationship, despite a fake Russia haunt that we had. But we've always had a great relationship, very good relationship, strong relationship with Russia. That's a good thing, not a bad thing, by the way. That's a very good thing. And it's good to get along with Kim Jong-un, and it's good to get along with everybody, including President Lee. It's good to get along, and I get along with the foreign leaders. You see that with the biggest group of foreign leaders that we've ever had. Don't forget the European Union was here also representing a large group of countries.
Donald Trump keeps proving just how much Vladimir Putin is pulling the strings. It's clear that Trump, struggling cognitively, played right into Putin's hands. The recent photo op in South Korea embarrassed him, forced our service members to stage an elaborate welcome, and gave legitimacy to Putin's actions in Ukraine. Despite Trump's attempts to project strength, the reality is that he appeared weak and ineffective. And then there's this bizarre statement he made about South Korea. You'll want to see it.
South Korea, would you reduce the number of forces in South Korea so that the United States could have more flexibility in the region?
Say it.
Would you consider reducing the number of U.S. forces in South Korea so that the United States can have more
Well,
flexibility?
I don't want to say that now, because we've been friends and we're friends. And look, we have a lot of people over there. We have over 40,000 troops in South Korea. As you know, South Korea agreed to pay for that during my last term. And then when Biden came in, they complained to Biden that I wasn't a nice person. And he agreed not to pay. He gave up billions of dollars. We were getting paid billions of dollars. But then Biden ended that for whatever reason. It's unbelievable that he did. But we have a very good relationship militarily. They would say, but we gave you land. I said, no, you didn't. You lease us land. There's a big difference between giving and leasing. And maybe one of the things I'd like to do is ask them to give us ownership of the land where we have the big fort. You know, we spent a lot of money building a fort, and there was a contribution made by South Korea, but I would like to see if we could get rid of the lease and get ownership of the land where we have a massive military base. Okay? Would you go?
We're taking the land. You don't want a lease? That's the Trump presidency in a nutshell, focused on image over substance. From redesigning the Rose Garden and Oval Office to now making strange claims about South Korea, it's all about trying to look tough. Very little has actually been accomplished, except creating a persona of strength that doesn't exist. Washington, D.C. is the perfect example of this. And during the same meeting, Trump even attacked the South Korean president and went on a bizarre rant about women. It's something you'll definitely want to see.
Washington, D.C., sir, has not had a murder in 11 days. Now, he's saying that's a horrible thing to hear, because they don't have murders for ever. But Washington, D.C., if you go back and check, It's been many years since we went a week without having a murder. Now we haven't had, and I would say that Washington, D.C. right now is much safer than Seoul. You know why? Because we have a friendly neighbor. We have more friendly neighbors. You have a different kind of problem. We all have different problems. But Washington, D.C. is a very safe city right now. People are going out to dinner. Restaurants are opening. Restaurants that were going to close are now going to stay open.
There's a lot to unpack here. Trump brought in an ally and then compared capitals, saying ours is safer while theirs is terrible. An unusual and confusing attack. He struggled to speak and couldn't form coherent thoughts, showing clear cognitive decline. Meanwhile, the South Korean president could only sit there, responding politely. Things escalated when Trump went on a rant about Obama and the ozone layer, completely losing his composure.
And presently, actually, I'm planning to go to China. You mentioned either this year or next year. Could you please share more details about your plans going to China? And also, presently, I think.
Well, maybe we'll go together. Do you want to go together? We can share a plane. We'll save energy. We'll save. We'll save a little. The ozone layer. Remember, President Obama used to talk about the ozone layer, and then he'd fly to Hawaii to play around the golf in a 747.
This is peak hypocrisy. Trump criticized J.B. Pritzker for needing to work out, but has anyone checked Trump himself? Even with all the makeup in the country, he can't hide the effects of his lifestyle. Since taking office, Trump has spent more time on the golf course than almost anyone else, using those trips to funnel taxpayer money into his own clubs. He's always looking for a grift, trying to avoid work, finding scapegoats, and playing the victim, and we saw all of that clearly here.
Are more raids like that coming, sir? Are more raids like the one on John Bolton's house coming?
More raids? I don't know. You'd have to ask the Department of Justice. They raided my house, I can tell you that. They did a big raid on my house. They took away everything that wasn't pinned down, and they took away some of that too. No, they raided Mar-a-Lago. They started that. These were bad people that we had in our government before. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They went into my wife's area. They went into my son's area, my young son. And what they did was a disgrace. But how did it work out? Oh, I see. We're in the Oval Office. Oh, I guess it didn't work out too well for them, did it? They are bad people. They're sick. They're sick people. And they came in with their guns into Mar-a-Lago, and like 98 people. I wasn't there. Fortunately, I wasn't there. But they are very evil, very sick people, that group. And if they would have won the election, this country wouldn't exist as we know it. This country would have been a failed country. And now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. We are the hottest country in the world by far. Okay.
How do you have a serious conversation with the president of South Korea and end up ranting about Mar-a-Lago? This started as a legitimate question about John Bolton, yet Trump went off on a tangent, acting oblivious to events he clearly influenced. He doesn't need to play dumb. He can just be. As always, Trump uses intimidation against anyone who disagrees or calls him out, proving that political persecution is far from over. And this isn't the only promise he's broken. It's just one more example of a pattern we've seen throughout his presidency.
Pete Hegseth has been incredible with the, as I call it, the Department of War. You know, we call it the Department of Defense, but between us, I think we're going to change the name. You want to know the truth? I think we're going to have some information on that maybe soon. But I think because, Department of Defense, we won the World War I, World War II. It was called the Department of War. And to me, that's really what it is. Its defense is a part of that. But I have a feeling we're going to be changing. I'm talking to the people. Everybody likes that. We had an unbelievable history of victory when it was Department of War. Then we changed it to Department of Defense. So that's a little thing, has nothing to do with your country, but it's something that I think you're going to be hearing about or seeing about over the next couple of weeks. Probably that change is going to be made over the next week or so.
Trump claims to be focused on peace through strength, but his actions tell a different story. Wars continue, new conflicts have started, and yet the focus of his presidency often seems to be renaming offices or rearranging decor. MAGA supporters hail these symbolic moves as major victories. But no foreign adversary is impressed. Just look at what he said about the so-called Department of War. It's another example of Trump prioritizing image over substance.
On the National Guard, you've talked a lot about Democratic-run cities and states. Would you also consider sending the National Guard into red states and red cities that are also seeing high crime?
Sure, but there aren't that many of them. If you look at the top 25 cities for crime, just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats.
Trump claims red states have no crime, except, of course, they actually have plenty. We'll keep calling this out every single day on the show. If you want to support that, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you watched all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.